because in any capacity you have here, you will also be able to support local governments, and you have been doing that. So please comment which one doable, which one not doable. And I think that I will again go back to the importance of not only to echo the importance of critical infrastructure, but also how to make good investment, and also importance of coordination. I think you managed to engage more than 27 departments, 27 division, department unit within your government, and that's not easy, I know that. So that's also, I think, doable, because in the capacity of leaders, you have that kind of ability to influence, and also to lead. So please, you might want to respond which one are not doable in the next 2 years.
Since it might be also going to include household preparedness, somehow household preparedness, and looking at the households which are really at risk. For instance, in Bihar, we are talking about the lower caste people, we are talking about the below poverty line people. So it might be good to get, for the local governments at the village level and at the district level, block level, to get the list of the vulnerable households which are really poor and marginalized, like historically, traditionally, and then making sure that their household, and these are actually the worst affected and impacted victims during any disaster, and there are kind of pre-existing vulnerabilities which already exist in the whole system, and especially in some of the provinces which are very very already like lower, which have lower human development index and are also really disaster prone. So it might be good to get the household level preparedness done.
I agree to the young lady here. Actually, I would like to share what we are doing right now in our city. Our organization starts with a DRRMO, Disaster Risk Reduction Management Officer. Then we have our council. And then the members of the council, we have the small communities in our city, and we call them barangays. And then the other members are the barangay captains. And now we dissect it. The barangay has several zones. We have 7 zones, 6 zones, or 5 zones. And with that, we designate one local leader or focal person in the zone, in each zone, and who will take care of the households. And then after that, we will have CapDev, and we will teach them how to respond, and we will teach them how to mitigate and all those things.
I think you mentioned very important what you mentioned, because as local governments, you should know where the risks are, and also where the most vulnerable places are, and then the number of households that will be affected most. I think this is part of the risk assessment as well. And sometimes the limitation is with data, because we cannot rely on central governments at the central national government's level data. But important is local governments must understand where those most vulnerable people, and sometimes they live in the landslide area, and sometimes local government, we struggle to also make them aware that this is a quite dangerous places, and with the lack of good governance, those places should not be a resettlement place, should not be a settlement place, but change into a settlement place. Those kind of thing also quite necessary to highlight, because data has been very limited, and also I think we should start with that and understanding which household are most vulnerable, and I agree with you on that. You want to have a intervention, please? Yes.
Thank you. My name is Rosilawati. I'm not from local government, not from national government, but I'm from UNFPA, one of the United Agency in Indonesia. I have read the outcome document, and I really appreciate the action plan that has been developed, especially because the gender issue has been taken into consideration, like ensure that gender equality, women involvement, and etc. So this is a very good achievement, because gender issue is a very important to be taken into consideration because men and women have different vulnerability and also different needs. Maybe my input to the action plan, the page 2, priority 1, understanding disaster risk. There is at the last bullet point, involve children and youth in planning and implementation process of risk assessment. If I may suggest to add not only children and youth, but also other vulnerable group like people with disability, because it is a very important, they have a very high vulnerability during disaster. For example, in Indonesia, after the earthquake, in addition to the existing people with disability, there are many new disabled people because of the impact of the disaster. So their consideration, their input need to be taken into account, especially when doing the risk assessment, because we need to identify how the evacuation process for the people with disability and many other concerns of these people. And then under the priority number 3, invest in DRR for resilience, I noticed that other sector like education, working with private sector and etc. has been integrated. But if I may recommend to add how we can strengthen the health system resilience after disaster, because we need to ensure that health services will be available soon after disaster to reduce morbidity and morbility of the people affected by disaster. I'm working with UNFPA that we concern a lot on reproductive health services during disaster, because based on the experience in Indonesia and other country, delivery process, pregnant women can deliver the baby at any time. I remember in Haiyan, the women deliver on the street. In Indonesia, during the volcano eruption, women deliver the baby during the evacuation process. So we need to ensure that people will have access to basic health services, including reproductive health during the emergency situation. I think we can add, I don't know, maybe under priority 3, to strengthen the resilience of the local health system, to ensure that basic health services, including reproductive health and other crucial services will be available after disaster. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's very good point. Thank you very much. I think everyone agree with what she said. The importance of this health services after disaster as well, and also disabilities. We will include that point in case there is objection. I am very sure all men also agree here, because important is women, children, and those disabled people. Okay. Next, yes, yeah. Please. Could you also say your name and where are you from?
Thank you, Madam. I'm Anwar from Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the home of all kind of disaster, and Bangladesh government is trying its level best to make the people resilient in all kind, giving supports and making policy and strategy. I like to, may I suggest a point in priority 4, that early warning system, establishing the capacity by strengthening the capacity of the local government to disseminate the early warning to the last mile people is very much important to make the people resilient. So may I suggest a point in priority for early warning system. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is also important, and we know that local warning system can also be less expensive. They are so sophisticated. I know when I live in Japan 25 years, I have this device, and when the earthquake occurs, there is alarm. So in the middle of night, I wake up because of those alarm, because in Japan every day there is a earthquake. But the thing is that the device cannot tell me what the magnitude. So I normally turn on TV or radio, TV, and then they say the magnitude. Then when it's small, I go back again to sleep. So I wish we have also good device in the high developed country like Japan, also to tell exactly what the magnitude, so we can just continue sleeping. No, this is just intermeasure. Yes.
I work in a INGO, Practical Action. We are working with the community people and the local government. We have good some lesson in disseminating the early warning system on mobile-based apps, voice SMS, and the local digital information board. so that the people and the UDMC, Union Disaster Management Committee, can get the information. And we have developed a few community-based organizations and a group of volunteers who can disseminate the early warning system to the last mile people as soon as possible. So it is our learning that the people are getting much benefit from this. Thank you.
Yes, I think that's also important. Yes, thank you. We take notes. I think somebody is taking notes. Thank you very much. Yes, maybe the lady first and then you.
And I'm Rani Sahai. I work with UNICEF as a DRR governance consultant. And I'm helping UNICEF in setting up state platforms for DRR in various states. What I would like to suggest here is I would like to reiterate what Kaustubh just mentioned about the local platforms for DRR. Under the priority 2, the disaster risk governance, we could add about local platforms for DRR, which could be utilized for, it would be a stakeholder and multi-sectoral platforms where, like within this, even a financing thing could be found from, since it would be a multi-stakeholder platform where various agencies would be working, even the governments, the INGOs, the NGOs. So what if mapping of their activities could be carried out, and they already are working on the Sendai framework, they are working on DRR. So those things could be aligned and it could be seen, that the work could be mapped for a particular area, the local area. And these agencies could also help the local government, assisting the local government in carrying out their work, in helping their work. So for even for financing part, that could be worked out because certain agencies are already working on those areas. So this is one thing which I wanted to add. Thanks.
Okay, I think we will add on that under priority 2 you mentioned, yeah? Governance. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Can we move, yeah?
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I am George Soriano. I am from the Philippines. I'm from the national government. I work for the Department of Public Works and Highways. So we're the primary construction arm of the government. And I would just like to emphasize some points. Number 1, I would like to point out number 5, echo the importance of critical infrastructure such as hospitals, transportation, especially transportation, energy systems, and schools. So I would just like to make an operational word. What is echo? So what do you want to echo? Is this the how to use the building? How to safeguard the building? So what aspect of the infrastructure are we? Because this is very close to our heart in the national government because most of the capital outlay is undertaken by the government. So what do you want to echo? And also I would also like to point out number 6. I would also like to address the Honorable Mayor. Magandang umaga po. Build capacity of local government units to utilize risk assessment, risk information in spatial and and local planning and implementation. Maybe because based from our experience from national government, and we're also working with the Science and Technology Department. We have already mapped out a lot of the geohazards throughout the Philippines. I don't know, ma'am, if you've heard of REDAS from the OST. So we are cascading, the OST is cascading the information to the local government, DRR sectors, but I think most of the people they're not as specialized as NGA. So I think we would like to bridge the gap by making the national government and the local government more organic to each other because NGAs also have regionals and district units. So like for example, we have the PAG-ASA, our weather bureau, FIVOX, our earthquake bureau. Most of the data that we have in NGA is highly technical. So national governments, they can separate into science and technology. They can have the social science, disaster management. But usually for local government units, the composition is very lean. Only a few people are manning. So they cannot be very experts in one area. So maybe one person will have to handle so many things at the same time. So I think it's also good that if we include the national government and local government relationship in terms of highly specialized fields such as geohazard assessment, uh, construction, and then Build Back Better schemes, because uh, to be honest, not all LGUs, not all local governments are created equal. They don't have the same budget, they don't have the same expertise, but for NGAs, they can augment the local government capacity in that respect. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, I agree with you. Also, if you have a good or suggested wordings to be put here, please pass it on to my colleagues here. Where is Hermi? Yeah, he's collecting
All the feedbacks.
Yes.
And-
Maybe I could suggest a few. Usually, what the NGAs, the national government want from the local government is more on identification and pre-disaster needs assessment. So maybe in terms of infrastructure, usually what we want them to do is to have an inventory of all their offices, of all the local health units. So how many local health units do you have? How many hospitals do you have? How many school buildings do you have? How many children go there? So I don't know how to make an operational word that is not as long as I've said.
Okay.
So maybe if somebody can think of a way to make an operational word.
Well, maybe also it's good to also have an asset management.
Yes,
Something
exactly,
that
asset
always we are
management.
lack of. When we put echo here means make noise.
Make noise.
But as I said just now, we plan to change because there are some infrastructures that are not built by local governments, but built by central governments. You know, this is how we can only advocate to the, and we are so happy to have you because then you can put this also in the policies, the central government policy about having a resilient infrastructure, a strong infrastructure. And I know in Japan it's put as mandatory for all even apartments to be a strong earthquake resistance building. And then also government provides incentive. So central and local governments, they work together and give incentive to the people if they want to retrofit their buildings, and they are doing it. They put mandatory for public buildings. So we will change the word echo. As a local government, we make noise in good way.
I could suggest advocate, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Advocate, yeah.
For the
Advocate for the importance of building critical this kind of infrastructure. And also for ourselves, for local governments, we will put it as a kind of mandatory. If you agree that we have a critical infrastructure, we will put as that's okay. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Vandadu, I want to declare my commitment. अगले 2 वर्ष के अंदर 140 अर्बन लोकल गवर्नमेंट है हमारे बिहार में और 50% में DRR रोड मैप के सारे आयाम जुड़े जाएंगे। वो प्लानिंग का पार्ट होगा अर्बन लेवल पर और 3 सिटीज स्मार्ट सिटी होने जा रहे हैं बिहार में और ये तीनों सिटी में DRR रोड मैप के सारे आयाम को इंक्लूड करने जा रहे हैं हम लोग। थैंक यू।
I think Anuradha will.
Okay, I'll do it.
Oh, you will. Okay.
I think I understand what he's trying to share as a commitment. I think the Honorable Minister is making 2 commitments. The first one was about. Okay, let me start from the second one. It's fresh. Yeah. So there is this initiative by Government of India called as a Smart City Initiative, and it has selected cities all across the country. In Bihar, 3 cities have been selected as part of the Smart City Initiative. 3. in Bihar state, in the state of Bihar, as part of this national government initiative, 3 cities have been selected. So what the Honorable Minister has committed is that all aspects of risk reduction as that have been identified in the roadmap, particularly from a resilient city point of view, those will be incorporated in the design and implementation in these 3 smart city initiatives. Of course, the roadmap has committed for all the urban local bodies. That is one. Yes, that was the second commitment. And the first commitment was within 2 years, like because I believe the reference is the upcoming 2018 conference, the AMCDR. So the commitment for the next 2 years is that out of the 140 urban local bodies in Bihar, 50% of these urban local bodies will have a disaster management plan. So the minister is committing that a disaster management plan for each of these, 50% of each of these 140 urban local bodies will be developed in the next 2 years. Yeah, so that could be one of the things that is.
Thank you very much. It's a very strong commitment. I believe with all your team, I think you will be able to achieve that. And when we meet again 2018, maybe I don't know when will be the next venue for AMCDRR. Mongolia. Okay, then we will visit you in Mongolia and we can all share and congratulate ourselves for all the works that have been done, because of the strong leadership and also strong commitment from the leaders, and also, a lot of engagement from the various partners. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
I'm Dr. Sunil Parashar from Asian Disaster Preparedness Center. I was looking at the priority 1 about understanding disaster risk. One is like undertake and update comprehensive risk assessment. Of course,